Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, Moxie.
So last week we are done with self-introduction. So today we will continue our discussion with heat transfer. So, but before that, I would like to check your attendance for today. Say present if you're on. So today we will discuss the core syllabus and introduction to heat transfer. So I have said last week, so this course, heat transfer, it deals with the different modes of heat and mass transfer, laws governing conduction, convection, and radiation, and its application to the design of common heat exchangers such as condenser, cooling coils, and evaporators, and environmental impact of their operation. Okay, so our teaching and learning assessment strategies. So learning is through teaching primarily based on lectures and some additional e-learning materials. So I will post our module on the Google Classroom. So in our Messenger GC, I ask you if you will avail the hard copy because the other instructors teaching heat transfer is preparing a hard copy of the module. So I think I already sent survey for those who want to avail the hard copy of the module. It's not mandatory. I'm not sure if let me check if I already created. Oh, I think I haven't created a survey yet. Yeah, okay. So I'll prepare a survey. So are all of you are all of you included in the GC Messenger? Who's your class coordinator? Uh, Ask Luzelle. So are they all included in the GC?
Sir, not sure lang po dun sa ibang hindi po O7 mismo. Kasi may mga iba pong enrolled dito po sa subject na hindi po mismong sa O7 galing.
Okay. So can you reach out to Lizelle for you to be able to be included in in the GC? Because sometimes I post some announcement there. So just like last week, I have informed you about that we will not be having our class. So please do coordinate with Lizelle so that you will be included in the GC. Okay, so going back to our discussion, so we have two major exams here in heat transfer. So midterm and final exam. So that would be 50%, 25% midterm and 25% final exam. So exam will be face to face. Okay. So we will also have a final project or technical report that it will be given for you to have an application of what is being learned throughout the course. So one of the requirement here is the technical report, which contains design of heat exchangers. So in designing heat exchangers, you will use a performance calculation and simulation. So with regard to that, we will use the ANSYS software for modeling and simulation of heat transfer equipment. So are you familiar with using ANSYS software? Who among you have been used it?
No po.
No? Okay. Who among you have experience of using ANSYS software? So ANSYS software is a heat transfer software used for simulation. So as a requirement into our course, we will need to use this software when you are performing heat transfer performance calculations. And modeling simulation. So it's part of your technical report. So I think you can download this software using your GSUIT account. So it's free. It's free, and it's I think it's yeah, it's just there are some instructions on how to use this software. So I'll search for that instructions, and so that you can start practicing using this software. So it will be a good help for you. It will be an additional skills because right now in our competitive environment, so it is an advantage that you have skills that you have advanced computer skills. So for you to be able to penetrate the industry. Okay, so that's one of our requirement here. And as part of our course syllabus is the intended learning outcomes. So upon completion of this course, you should be able to first explain the fundamentals of heat transfer processes, including the mechanisms, governing equations, and principles involved in different modes of heat transfer. ILO2 is to solve problems involving the different modes of heat transfer, considering steady and unsteady state conditions. And then ILO3, we have to evaluate the performance of heat exchangers using different methods. So here, in evaluating the performance of heat exchangers, as I have said, we will use a software, a simulation software. Additionally, you will be required to perform computational calculations using Excel so that we will not be working calculating or performing calculations by hand, so we can use the functions of Excel. So who among you have knowledge on Visual Basic? Have you had uh, no, you don't have knowledge on Visual Basic. So it can be learned. So it will be an advantage for you if you know how to use that, because you can make your own computational tool. So instead of manually calculating, because there in heat transfer there are complex formulas. So during our discussions, you will be taught of the how to calculate manually. But during your technical report, it will be cumbersome if you will calculate it manually. So the knowledge on Excel tools or Visual Basic or Excel functions will be a great help for you to be able to execute your technical report, your calculation and technical report easily. So, so I will try to, for those who don't know how to use Visual Basic, so I'll try to provide some information on that so that you can practice using that tools. Okay. Assessment test distribution. So as I have said, we have two major exams, midterm exam and final exam. That will be 25% each. So activities 20%. So in the activities, it includes the problem sets, which is handwritten. Manual calculation will be applied in the activities, which is the problem sets. While in technical report, you can use computational tools. Okay, so activities is 20% and technical report is 30%. So in order to pass this course, you have to pass this assessment tasks. And then, so removal exam is only given to those who will get a grade of 70, below 70. So for those who will get a failing grade of 5, you will not be considered for the removal examination. So only those who will get 70 below. I mean 70 to 74. So 71 to 74 or 70 to 74, sorry. So below 70 is not uh, is not will not be qualified for the removal exam. It is already included here. So students who got a computed grade of 70 to 74 will be given an appropriate remedial activity in which the final grade should be either passing or failure. So class policy, as I have said, we will be checking regular attendance of the students on the set schedule of this course. So our meetings will be done through Google Meet and face-to-face. So this semester has 18 weeks. So in case you miss your examination, so since it will be given face to face, so students will be informed of the schedule of the exam. So students should give prior notice for any valid reason of not taking the examination on the specified date given by the instructor. So in case you are sick on that day, so you have to submit your medical certificate. So yeah, academic dishonesty. So we do not tolerate cheating during the examinations or plagiarism in connection with any academic work. So such such acts are considered major offenses and will be dealt with according to the university's norms of conduct. So if you commit that mistake, there is a possibility that you will be expelled on the course. Next is dropping. So dropping must be made official by accomplishing a dropping form and submitting it at the registrar's office before the midterm examination. So student who officially drop off the class shall be marked drop, whether he took the preliminary examination or not, irrespective of their preliminary grades. So a student who unofficially drops out of the class shall be given a mark of 5.0 by the instructor. So student yes, may consult their instructor through online platform or any social media accounts such as electronic mail or messenger, or even through phone, text, and calls during the allotted period of this course. Okay, so with regard to class policy grading system, so I think this is common to all the courses. It is the regular information or general information for all the courses, not only on heat transfer. Okay, so we'll go to our topic outline. So these are the topics that we will discuss. I think I already posted our this this course syllabus on the Google Classroom. So you can check that. And on that post, you can also find the references that I provided. So you can download this on the internet. So we have here, I included 5 references for heat transfer. So we have here textbooks. These are all textbooks. So it's free, downloadable. So in these books, there are so many references and problems with solutions that you can uh, practice. Okay, so Do you have any question? Oh, okay. So we'll just discuss first the topic outline. So week one is class introduction and orientation. So this is the presentation of syllabus and class rules. So for week two, we have week two to three is the overview of heat transfer and important properties in heat transfer. So identify the important properties in heat transfers. So week four to six is conduction heat transfer. So in here, we will solve problems in conduction heat transfer using conduction rate equation on plane wall, composite wall, and radial system. So when we say plane wall, so it's just a plain wall. Composite wall, so there is more than one layer, probably an insulation. And radial system, it refers to pipes in or any configuration with circular cross section. So that's will be the for conduction heat transfer. So as you can see here on our topic outline, the reference chapter is already mentioned. So yeah, wherein, for example, our first topic is overview of heat transfer. So you can find it on the chapter one of the textbook. So the textbook that I am pertaining is this. So please download it to the internet in the internet. I cannot send it here because it is a large file. So I think there's only 25 MB capacity on on this messenger. I think so, or even in the Google Classroom. My current Google Classroom is already full capacity, so you have to download it by yourself. So anyway, it's very user friendly and easy to download. So please download it. Try to download this book. So most of our exams, sometimes I refer to these books. So yeah. So going back, we have here the continuation on week 7. I think week 7 to 8. So yeah, we have continuation of the conduction heat transfer wherein we will solve problems in conduction heat transfer using conduction rate equation on the plane wall, composite wall, and radial system. But this time, it will be a two-dimensional steady state conduction. So I have to change it. Solve problems in conduction with film coefficient of convection and two-dimensional steady state conduction. So in two-dimensional steady state conduction, you will be required, there are some mathematical techniques that you can apply, such as Gauss-Seidel, iteration, and using different matrix rules. Okay, so that will be our topic outcomes. So and then we have here at me during week 9 is our midterm examination week. So after also during that period, we will submit the problem set number one, which covers all the topics from week one up to week 8. Okay, and then after the midterm exam, we will continue our discussion with convection heat transfer. So we have two types of convection heat transfer. So we have the free convection and the forced convection. So let's go first with free convection. So in free convection, we will apply the governing equations for free convection heat transfer on vertical planes, inclined and horizontal planes, cylinders, tubes, and spheres. So while for the first convection, so we will apply governing equations for first convections, the for first convection heat transfer on pipes, tubes, cylinders, spheres, and tube banks. Okay. So radiation heat transfer, for radiation heat transfer, we will analyze the radiation heat transfer processes and properties, including radiation heat fluxes, radiation intensity, black body radiation, emission from real surfaces, absorption, reflection, surface. Okay. And then lastly, so it will be on week 12. Yung radiation, our radiation topic will be on week 12. After that, you have to study also the multi-mode heat transfer. So by the way, problem set number 2 is after convection heat transfer uh, topic. So after that, you will submit your problem set number 2, which covers convection heat transfer. Okay, so yeah, we have after the convection, we have radiation, and after radiation, we have multi-mode heat transfer. So in multi-mode heat transfer, we will apply the concept of different modes to the analysis of multi-mode heat transfer. So it is basically a combination of two modes. For example, conduction combined with convection, convection heat transfer combined with radiation heat transfer, and radiation heat transfer combined with convection or conduction. So it's a combination of two modes of heat transfer. Our last topic will be heat exchangers. So there are different types of heat exchangers, and we have to identify the different types of heat exchangers, determine the overall heat transfer coefficient, and analyze the heat exchanger using LNTD or lag mean temperature difference, arithmetic temperature difference, and effectiveness NTU method. So evaluate the performance of heat exchanger using modeling and simulation software that I have mentioned. You'll be using ANSYS for this one. And then that will be week 14 to 15. So it's a 2 week topics on heat exchanger. And then preparation of technical report, you will be given the time to prepare your technical report, evaluate the design considerations and requirements to come up with a solution for a heat transfer problem. And then after that, we will have your final examination, which you will analyze and solve open-ended problems. So it's a face-to-face exam. So and lastly, our last meeting will be the presentation of your technical report, wherein you will justify a design solution for the identified problems. So that will be our topic outline for the whole semester. So do you have any question on this topic outline?
None po.
Okay. So I think most topics are will require your ability to solve problems which involves a complex equations. As I have said before, you will solve problems which involves higher mathematics. So we have here the Gauss-Seidel iteration for two-dimensional heat transfer. Uh, we also have applications of partial differential equations, ordinary differential equations, Taylor series equation, mm, and other numerical methods. We'll also derive the formulas for heat diffusion equation. So in that when during that discussion, I will ask you to derive the formula for conduction heat transfer using the heat diffusion equation. Okay, so that will be our topic outline. So I will be providing you the different tables that we will be using here. But if you will avail the module, it's already there. So the other instructor is just finalizing the module. So if you want a copy, so we can arrange, we can have, we can share with that. We can share or we can request uh, a copy for you. Okay, so that's all for the course syllabus. So we will proceed now with introduction to heat transfer. Yes, Miss Ara May.
Sir, rinig na po.
Yep.
Mag-i-introduce lang po ako.
Okay, so please go. Go ahead.
Hi po, my name is Aramilianto po. 20 years old po. I live in Tinorik, Tanawan, Batangas City po. And about po sa heat transfer, ang pagkakaalam ko po yung bagay na, ang example po ay yung kunwari po ay yung pagkain na malamig po na paiinitin po. Yun lang po. Thank you po.
Okay, thank you. So you're referring to a food to be heated, so probably in a microwave oven. So that's an example of the applications of heat transfer. So in that appliances, for example, the oven, so we have three different modes of heat transfer. So conduction, convection, and radiation. So conduction because we have heated plate, and then the heat will be transferred to the plate where the food is there. Convection because if the microwave oven inside is filled with air, so the heat will be transferred to air, and that's convection because there's a fluid involved, liquid or gas. And for radiation, since the microwave oven emits an electromagnetic wave, there's a radiation. So that's a perfect example of in an appliances wherein we can find the three different modes of heat transfer. Okay. So as you can see on our screen now is the introduction module. So here on our screen, this is an example of the application of heat transfer. So you can see here a cooling tower. Yeah, so this is not a smoke. So what you can see here is a vapor coming from the cooling tower. So a cooling tower is an example of a heat exchanger. So wherein there is a cooling process, of course, inside the cooling tower. So here, it's not a smoke, as I have said, it's a vapor. And then in other discussions, in further discussions, there is a special topic for cooling tower during the convection heat transfer topic. So I have more detailed explanation on the cooling tower. Okay, another thing that you can see here is the buildings. So yeah, there are some. I know it's very small, but if we will look, just imagine that these are different equipments, particularly heat exchangers, used for heating and cooling. So it's very essential part of the power plant. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's an example. I just made it a cover page here. So just to show you some examples of the application of heat transfer. Okay, so this is module one, introduction to heat transfer. So we will learn today the different modes of of heat transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation. But before that, we have to establish first our goal. So our goal for today, so every time that we will have a discussion, so we will need to establish a goal. So it's an essential part of our learning. So our goal for today is first to describe the three methods of heat transfer: conduction, convection, and radiation. And next is to solve problems relating to mechanisms of heat transfer and to differentiate the difference between thermodynamics and heat transfer. Okay, so that's our goal for today. If you have any questions, you can interrupt or you can butt in anytime. So, and if you think that our discussion is too fast, you can notify me. So feel free to notify me anytime. Okay, so going back, heat transfer. So it is a thermal energy in transit due to special temperature difference. So the driving force for us to have a heat transfer is the temperature difference. So whenever there exists a temperature difference in a medium or between a media, heat transfer must occur. It flows or it is transferred from high temperature region to a low temperature region. So an example here is boiling of water. So it's a very basic example of heat transfer. So when you open the stove, actually I have here in an animation, but unfortunately when I click the slideshow, it doesn't work. So there's no slideshow here in the Google Meet. I don't know why. So by going back, so we have here an example of the application of heat transfer. So it started with a fire. The stove produces fire. So and then after that, the energy formed in the fire is transferred to the pot. So what will happen to the pot? It will be heated. It will eventually become hot, and the heat from the pot will be transferred to the water and cause it to boil. Okay, so in this example, can you explain the different modes of heat transfer? Gonzalo Warren. Gonzalo Warren.
Yes po.
So can you explain in English the different types or different modes of heat transfer in that example, that very basic example?
Sir, what do you mean po by
Can you explain the different modes of heat transfer in boiling water?
um the heat from the fire is
Yeah,
flow.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, the heat from the fire is radiation heat transfer, right?
Yes.
because it has an electromagnetic wave. The fire transmit heat through an electromagnetic wave. Then after that, what will happen?
It will go through the pot, then the pot will heat up, and then the water from the pot will also heat up.
Okay. So what will happen to why does the water change its temperature? What causes the water to change its temperature?
Because there is a temperature difference between the water and the fire. The fire has higher temperature than the water, so when the fire comes in contact with the pot and the pot heats up, the water then heats up also.
Okay, thank you. So it's actually the molecular diffusion that causes the water to heat, to transfer heat. So actually, when the heat is transferred from the pot to the water, so the water molecules s- becomes high energetic molecules. So the high energetic molecules will transfer its energy or kinetic energy into the neighboring molecules to less energetic molecules, and then eventually all the molecules there will be high energetic molecules, which causes the water to evaporate because it there will be a molecular diffusion, so there's a density difference. So when the water is heated, the molecules also becomes high energetic. that is the that's the main reason why water boils. So it's convection heat transfer. And when the water vapor goes up, it will transfer its heat to the air. So that's convection. There is a transfer of heat through a medium, which is a fluid or gas, a fluid, liquid or gas medium. Yeah. So well, for direct contact, we have the pot. So when what, the tripod, I have here actually a bigger picture of that. So just to show you this one. Yeah, I found it. So this is the basic modes of heat transfer, the basic application. So it's actually there's a radiation here on the fire, as you can see. Yeah, it transmit its energy, heat energy through electromagnetic wave. So when you touch, actually, when you when you put your hand closer to the stove, so you will feel the heat, and that's through radiation because of the electromagnetic wave. So the heated pot will transfer its heat to the handle, which is a conduction. So that is why we use a different material for the handle. We use plastic because it has very low thermal conductivity, and unlike the metal, which has high thermal conductivity. So a plastic is a good insulation. And then the convection here, as I have said, is the caused by molecular motion or diffusion. So when the heat is transferred to the water, the molecules becomes excited or high energetic, and eventually it will transfer its energy to the neighboring molecules, causing the water to boil. That's called molecular diffusion. Okay, so going back here, so the question is, what's the difference between thermodynamics and heat transfer? So I want to know your ideas on this. So let me start with Mariel Pantoja. Mariel Pantoja. Hello,
Yes
Mariel.
po.
So, what is the difference between thermodynamics and heat transfer? What do you think is the difference between having been attended on the thermodynamics class during your first year or second year, maybe? So, how and having given the overview of the heat transfer, so what do you know? What do you think is the difference between thermodynamics and heat transfer?
Sir, I think thermodynamics focuses overall in the energy changes and the the states of the equilibrium in the equilibrium states in system. So it answers the question about how much energy is transferred and whether a process can occur. And I think heat transfer naman po is um, it focuses on the rates of energy transfer through two temperature differences. So it answers the question about how energy moves from one another po.
Okay, so that's a good explanation. So that's correct. So heat transfer focuses on how the heat is being transferred, while thermodynamics focuses on the amount of work. So that's why in thermodynamics we measure the amount of work by joule, while in heat transfer we measure the heat transfer rate by joule per second. So as you can see here on our screen, we have a simple diagram wherein we explain the differences between thermodynamics and heat transfer. So thermodynamics deals with the amount of work in for example in equilibrium state 1 going to equilibrium state 2. So thermodynamics makes no reference on how the process will take, while the heat transfer, I mean the thermodynamics makes no reference on how long the process will take, as Mariel have said. So while heat transfer focuses on the time, on how long will the process will take. So that's why there is a second. Joule per second is the unit. So there is a second, there is a time here. Okay, so that's one difference. The other one is, yeah, thermodynamics does not worry on how the system has changed from equilibrium state 1 to equilibrium state 2. While heat transfer, it involves the study of the different modes. So it involves the conduction, convection, and radiation. So it's uh, the way how the equilibrium state 1 change to equilibrium state 2. Okay, so we can determine the amount of work and heat transferred from equilibrium state 1 to equilibrium state 2 through thermodynamics. So we only focus on the amount of work and heat. So while heat transfer, we also focus on the time it takes for that changes to occur. For example, just okay, so for a more logical explanation, for example, you are from, let's say, Kumintang, Batangas City. So going to Alangilan, so you will travel via jeepney. So that mode of transportation uh, is logical to heat transfer. So the different modes of transportation. So we have jeepney, bus, or any land transportation. So in heat transfer, we have different mode of heat transfer. So we have conduction, convection, and radiation. So from point one, it's for example in Kumintang, so it is logical to equilibrium state one, and going to Alangilan, it's in logical to equilibrium state two. So Going to two different points, so it needs the different modes of transfer of heat transfer. So that's our focus, no? So did you understand what the difference? So for additional information, so why do we need to study heat transfer and thermodynamics? So heat transfer is a process by which internal energy from one substance transfers to another substance. Thermodynamics is the study of heat transfer and the changes that result from it. And an understanding of heat transfer is crucial to analyzing a thermodynamic processes such as those that takes place in heat engines and heat pumps. So actually thermodynamics comes from two Greek term. I think yeah, this one. It's therme, which means heat, and dynamis, which means power. So heat power. So it really pertains to the amount of work. I think I have also mentioned last week the different laws of thermodynamics. So we have the zeroth law, the first law, second law, and the third law of thermodynamics. Zeroth law, so originally there's no zeroth law, but there's a fourth law originally. So this zeroth law is a fourth law of thermodynamics. So it states that if two bodies are in thermal equilibrium with some third body, then they are also in equilibrium with each other. But the scientists during that time want that to be the first law because it's the foundation of all the laws of thermodynamics. However, they cannot change it because they cannot change the sequence because it is already uh, because the people are already familiar with that sequence. First law, they know that it is for law of conservation of energy. Second law, they know that it is law of increased entropy, and the third law, it's they know that it is the entropy of the perfect crystals. So they cannot change that right away. So what they did was instead of fourth law, they since they want it to be the first law since it's the foundation of all the laws of thermodynamics, they made it zeroth law of thermodynamics. So that's why we have zeroth law. Okay. Hey, so what is zeroth law of thermodynamics? So given here an example, so look at the pictures in this example. Okay, so Yumi Menes. Yumi Menes, are you here?
Yes po.
Okay, so what can you see on the picture? On the before.
And there are two different glass po. One glass contains ice, which is in 0 degrees Celsius, and hot water in 70 degrees Celsius. They have different temperature po. While their surrounding air po is in 25 degrees Celsius.
Okay, and what about the after? So what do you
After
think?
po,
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
yeah, they are in thermal equilibrium po, which means that their temperature po is equal.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, after a certain period, so since there is a heat transfer, so the temperature of the hot water will be transferred to its surrounding. So at the same time, since yeah, it's 70 degrees, so eventually it will cool down to 25 degrees Celsius, same as the temperature of the surrounding air. At the same time, we have the ice. So the heat will be transferred to ice, and eventually the ice will melt down into a water of a 25 degrees Celsius, similar to the temperature of the surrounding air and water. So that is what we call the thermal equilibrium. So wherein the three system has is thermal in thermal equilibrium with each other. So system A, if system A is in thermal equilibrium with system B, and system B is in thermal equilibrium with system C, therefore system A is also in thermal equilibrium with system C. So the zeroth law of thermodynamics states that if two systems are in thermal equilibrium or thermodynamic equilibrium with the third one, the two original systems are in thermal equilibrium with each other. Okay, so that's the zeroth law of thermodynamics. Going to the second law, second law, I mean, going to the first law, that's the zeroth law, I mean. No? So going to the first law, we have energy can neither be created nor destroyed. For example, a wind turbine. So it converts kinetic energy into wind energy, into mechanical energy, into electrical energy. So there's no energy destroyed. So there's a law of it's a law of conservation of energy. So energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It just transforms into a new form. So that's our first law of thermodynamics. I think you have different examples that can be there are very different examples that we can give on this energy conversion. Okay. So next we have the second law of thermodynamics, which states that the entropy of the universe is always increasing. Okay. So Mark Lawrence Magkamit, are you here? Mark Lawrence Magkamit.
Yes po, sir.
So what can you see on the picture now?
Uh, the the other room po is tidy, then the other one is messy po.
Okay. So based on your idea, so do you think that after a certain period, the tidy room will become messy?
Po,
Do you think that the tidy room will become messy after a certain period?
yes po.
Okay, so that's the natural reaction or spontaneous reaction. So it goes with the entropy. So there's always a degree of disorder. So that is why the heat is always transferred from hot to cold. So because there's a spontaneous reaction, so we cannot prevent the heat to be transferred we cannot prevent the heat from transferring from hot to cold because it's a natural reaction. It is what we call the second law of thermodynamics, or the entropy of the universe is always increasing. So back to Mark Lawrence, do you think it's possible that after a certain period the clean room or the tidy room I mean, yeah, the clean room or the tidy room will become more cleaner, will become cleaner or tidier?
No po.
Yeah, it's not possible. So heat cannot be transferred from cold to hot. So it's not possible unless we require an energy or a force to do that. So that's entropy. So there's always a tendency for disorder. There's always a tendency to go towards a higher density. And that's the second law. And then going back to, yeah, I have here another example. So when you are drinking a cup of coffee, so when you when you hold the coffee, so it's hot. So it means that the heat is transferred from the cup to your hand. So heat will flow from hot coffee cup to the table or to your hand because the heat energy will be more disordered, more dispersed. So it's not possible that the heat, will be transferred to the hot coffee from the cold environment. So it's not possible. So because of the second law of heat transfer. So what about the third law? So the third law of thermodynamics, going back to our presentation, is the law of perfect crystals. So it states that the third law of thermodynamics states that the entropy of a closed system at a thermodynamic equilibrium approaches a constant value when its temperature approaches absolute zero. So this constant value cannot be dependent on any other parameters characterizing the system, such as pressure or applied magnetic field. Okay, so just to just to define the third law, we have here an example. So just to reiterate that we cannot attain an absolute zero temperature actually in real life, because there's no such thing as absolute zero, since because as we have studied before, there is a second law of thermodynamics wherein there is always a degree of disorder. So we cannot achieve that absolute zero temperature, that very coldest temperature, because heat will always be, no matter what happen, heat will always transfer. So for example, this is the Boomerang Nebula, as you can see on our screen. So the Boomerang Nebula is the coldest natural place currently known in the universe. So this nebula temperature measured at 1 Kelvin or negative 272.15 or negative 457.87 degree Fahrenheit is only 1 degrees Celsius above absolute zero, meaning it's not really an absolute zero. It's still 1 degrees above absolute zero. So imagine that even on the outer space, we cannot achieve the absolute zero because of heat transfer. So the third law of thermodynamics defines what absolute zero is, and it ties together with the concept of entropy and temperature. So even in the laboratory, it's not possible to achieve an absolute zero temperature because we are here on Earth. We cannot, even though we can create a force to do that, still it cannot be, we cannot achieve a perfect zero or absolute zero because of the surroundings that we cannot control. So we cannot control the surroundings because in reality there's no perfect or absolute zero because the heat will always be transferred. So that's the third law of thermodynamics. Okay, is it clear to you, the third law? Do you have any clarifications on the third law? Okay, so we will proceed with the next topic. So I have here a slide of the applications of thermodynamics. So we have here refrigeration, turbojet engine, biomedical application, automobile engine, International Space Station. So these are just some of the examples of the applications of thermodynamics and heat transfer. Okay, so let's proceed with the different modes of heat transfer. So we have here conduction, convection, and radiation. So under kinetic theory, the internal energy of a substance is generated from the motion of individual atoms or molecules. Okay, so I'll give you some scenario. So this is the scenario. For example, I have a sand. Just imagine this. I have a sand. Then I put it on a cup, a paper cup. And then eventually I shake the cup. The cup has cover. So I shake the cup after a few hours. So what do you think will happen to the sand? Uh, Romero John Mark, are you here?
Yes po.
Okay, so did you understand the scenario?
Pwede pong paulit.
Okay, so for example, we have a sand and I place that sand to the paper cup and we cover the paper cup and then I shake it for about let's say 4 hours. So what do you think will happen to the sand inside the paper cup?
I think po since may movement po na nangyari, magpo-produce po
Nang
ng heat po.
Okay, so that's precisely it is. So there's since there's a kinetic energy, so the molecules will be energetic. So from the energetic molecules, the energy will be transferred to neighboring molecules, which is less energetic. So eventually, the less energetic molecules will be high energetic molecules, and eventually all the molecules in that sand will be high energetic molecules, creating a heat energy. So under the kinetic theory, the internal energy of a substance is generated from the motion of individual molecules or atoms. So there is a movement of molecules. So because of that movement, an internal energy is created. So heat energy is a form of energy which transfers this energy from one body to or system to another. So this heat transfer takes place in a number of ways. So we have conduction, which occurs within a body or between two bodies in contact. So we have the convection. It depends on the mass of motion. It depends on motion of mass from one region or space from one region of space to another. So in convection, we have a medium, which is a fluid. Can either be liquid or gas for the heat transfer to occur. So heat is transferred from through a medium using liquid or gas. While in radiation, there's no medium required. So we have the heat transferred by electromagnetic radiation such as sunshine, wherein we convert solar energy into electrical energy. So we have sunshine, so we have radiation from the sun, sunshine with no need for matter to be present in the space between bodies. So there's no need of matter to be present on that. So unlike convection, there should be a fluid. In conduction, there should be a direct contact, while in radiation, there's no need for the medium. Heat is transferred through electromagnetic radiation. Okay, so that's the different modes of heat transfer. I have already discussed this one, heat transfer methods. So conduction, convection, and radiation. So yeah. So convection, so the transfer of heat through fluid, liquid, or gas caused by molecular motion. While the conduction is the transfer of heat or electric current from one substance to another by direct contact. And radiation is the energy that is radiated, transmitted in the form of rays or waves or particles. So as I have said, yeah, that boiling of water is one of the simplest example of the different modes of heat transfer. So let's begin with conduction. So in conduction, the heat is conducted by the transfer of energy of motion between adjacent molecules. Adjacent molecules means there is a direct contact. So conduction may be viewed as a transfer of energy from the more energetic to the less energetic particles of substance due to interaction between the particles. So higher temperatures are associated with higher molecular energies when neighboring molecules collide, they are constantly doing a transfer of energy from the more energetic to the less energetic molecules. So heat can be conducted through solids, liquids, and gases. Not only solids, so it can be solid to liquid and solid to gas as long as there is a direct contact. So in conduction, we will apply the Fourier's law, wherein we will have a more detailed discussion on this. So we have the formula Qx over A is equal to the negative K dt over dx, where Qx is the heat transfer rate, A is the area. This means that it is heat transfer rate per unit area. So another term for that is a heat flux. Heat flux is a heat transfer rate per unit area. So it is equivalent to negative K, which is a conductivity of materials. So every materials has different thermal conductivity. Okay, so another question. Mm, Endrinal crystalline. Are you here? Endrinal crystalline.
Yes po, sir. Sorry po,
Okay,
medyo mahina
so
lang po yung internet.
okay, so this is my question. So with regard to thermal conductivity, which do you think among these two metals? I mean, which do you think among these two material? Metals and wool have a higher thermal conductivity.
Yung wool po,
I will repeat the question. So which do you think among these two material have higher thermal conductivity? Meaning which of these materials uh, absorbs more heat? Is it a metal or a wool?
ay sorry po, yung metal po, sir.
Yeah, that's why we are using metal during cooking or any other purposes because yeah, and at that same time we also use wool as insulation because it has a lower thermal conductivity. So yeah, that is K. It's thermal conductivity. So the formula is for heat transfer is Qx over A equals negative K dt over dx. dt is change in temperature. So it is in Kelvin and dx is the distance in wherein the heat is being transferred. So later we will have some different problems involving this conduction. Okay, so that's conduction is when the heat flows through a heated solid through a current moving through the material. So you can observe conduction when heating stove, burner, element, or bar of a metal which goes from red to hot white. So wood is an example of a good insulator. Okay, so this is what I am asking earlier. So conductors and insulators. So materials that transfer heat are easily are called conductors. So one example of a good thermal conductor is a metal. So this is why metal is used to make saucepans. I mean, this is why metal is used to make saucepans for cooking foods. On the other hand, insulators are materials that slow the transfer of heat. So one example of a good thermal insulator is a wool. So this is why wool is used to make winter coats, scarves, hats, and gloves. So what I want to pertain is that we have a table for thermal conductivity. We actually have this on our references, and this module has it also. So if you want to complete thermal conductivity properties, I will send it to you, the table. It's also in the hard copy of the module, which will be available on maybe on the following weeks. So they are just finalizing the layout of the module. So yeah, there's a thermal conductivity table there. So in here, we can find not only the thermal conductivity, but also the value or properties for density. We have density, CP or specific heat, and absorb uh, diffusivity. So yeah, I will explain later what are these parameters are. So we have a discussion for this. And also the equivalent properties at various temperature. So yeah, we have thermal diffusivity, thermal conductivity, CP, density, and melting point. For each materials. So this is just an excerpt on the table of thermophysical properties of selected metallic solids. Okay. Okay. So next one we have a convection. So just notify me if you think that discussion is very fast, so I can adjust. So going back to convection, so it's a combination of heat transfer due to diffusion or molecular motion and interaction of heat transfer due to movement of or bulk or macroscopic effects. So we have two types of forced convection. We have two types of convection. So we have forced convection and natural convection. So I would like to know your ideas on this. Gamelia Reniel Gamelia. Are you here? Reniel.
Yes po, sir.
Okay, so what do you think is the difference between the forced convection and the natural convection or free convection? Okay, do I have to repeat the question?
No po, sir. For me po, sir, yung first convection po and natural convection po, ano po?
Yep.
The difference between first convection. Sa tingin ko po, sir, in first convection, fluid movement is driven by an external force such as um, pump or blower po, while natural convection po is fluid movement is caused by difference in temperature within the fluid, sir.
Okay, so that's correct actually. So for first convection, we use external forces. So there is a bulk motion or macroscopic effect on the first convection. So the fluid is forced to flow past a solid surface. So such as we have mechanical means such as pumps, fans, pumps, or other mechanical means. While in pre-convection, there is the fluid next to a solid surface, for example, causes circulation because of density difference resulting from a temperature difference on the fluid. So in natural or free convection, one example is boiling of water. So there is a molecular motion or diffusion there. So that's why the heat is being transferred from less energetic to the high heat to become high energetic molecules. So there's an internal heat energy generated. So because of molecular diffusion. Okay, so in convection, we will apply the Newton's law of cooling. So we have here the formula Q equals HA Ts minus T infinity. So it's the same, the Ts and T infinity will be the same throughout this course. So Ts is the temperature of the surface, while T infinity is the temperature of the surroundings. Q is the heat transfer rate. H is the heat transfer coefficient. So H is a typical values. So for example, uh, we actually have a table of values for H. So typical values for the convection heat transfer coefficient. So we have values for gases, liquids at pre-convection as you can see on our screen. Yeah. So for gases, we have 2 to 25. For liquids, we have 50 to 1000. First convection, so we have values for that. For gases, we have 25 to 250. And liquids, we have 100 to 20,000. Convection phase change, so we have 25,000 to 100,000. So that's the value of H. So when you are required to convert the value of H, you will use this conversion factor. Okay, so that's for convection. And then we'll go back to radiation. So radiation, by the way, do you have question for convection? This is just an overview. This is just a review of what we have learned during our high school days. So we will have a more detailed discussion further when we are dealing with the detailed discussion of the three modes of heat transfer. Okay. So for the modes of heat transfer, another mode is the radiation heat transfer. So it's the transfer of energy through space by means of electromagnetic waves such as visible light, infrared, and ultraviolet radiation. So here, there's no physical medium needed for its propagation. There's no medium between the sun and earth, but we still receive the energy from the sun. On the other hand, when we are sitting near the fire, we receive the heat due to radiation. So we don't have any medium for that. The heat is just transferred through an electromagnetic wave. So the rate of energy radiation from a surface is proportional to the surface area. So the rate increases rapidly with the temperature depending on the fourth power of the absolute temperature. So that's why there is a exponent. So Ts to the fourth minus T infinity to the fourth. So we have to convert the temperature into Kelvin because if we did not convert the temperature into Kelvin, there will be an error in your calculation. Unlike in conduction and convection, wherein we don't have to raise the value to the fourth power. In radiation, we have to do that. So that's why we have to convert the temperature from degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit into Kelvin. So here in the radiation, we will apply the Stefan Boltzmann law, which is Q equals emissivity times sigma times a Ts to the fourth minus T infinity to the fourth. So emissivity, E is emissivity. So later we will find the values for that. It's actually a dimensionless number from 0 to 1 that represents the ratio of the rate of radiation from a particular surface to the rate of radiation from an equal area of an ideal radiating surface at the same temperature. So that's emissivity. So, and then we have sigma or Stefan Boltzmann constant, which is 5.67 times 10 to the negative 8 watt per meter squared Kelvin to the fourth. And then we have Ts, our surface temperature, and then T infinity is the surrounding temperature. So that's the formula for radiation. Okay. We also have an absorption wherein while the body at absolute temperature is radiating, its surrounding temperature are also radiating, and the body absorbs some of this radiation. So, for example, you are cooking outside the house. So it's an open area wherein you are cooking directly under the sun. So while the heat transferred by the fire to the pot, well there is a heat that transferred from the fire to the pot, so there's also a heat coming from the sun. So aside from radiation, there's also heat absorbed. So there's an absorption. So later we will delve on that. So we'll deal with more detailed explanation on that. So just this is just a review. Okay. So do you have any question? It's already 4. So tomorrow we will.
Sir, pwede
Yes,
pong
Samuel.
mahingi po yung PPT niyo po for note taking. Thank you po.
Yep.
Yes
About
po.
this one. Yeah, it will be
Thank you
posted
po,
on the
sir.
Google Classroom. Just check on your Google Classroom. Thank you. So do you have any question? Yes, Alvin.
Sir, hindi naman po related about dito sa topic, pero pwede kaya po na matanong kung magkano daw po ang babayaran for the module po?
Okay. So about the module, I am not sure about it yet because I'm not the one who prepare it. So I'll ask Ma'am Donna if how much. Maybe she's not yet finished with the content, so she's also finalizing, and she will be the one to provide the hard copy for it. So so that's why I send survey so that I know when she asked for the quantity, so I can give him the quantity. But with regard to the pricing, I'm not sure how much it as of yet. So I'll inform you once I have the information for that. Okay, so do you have any question?
Thank you po, sir.
Okay, so no more questions. So see you again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you po, sir.